Most prisons scare people, but Goulburn Prison, inmates don't just fear it, they whisper about it. Some say the walls feel alive. Some say once you're inside, the prison never really lets you go. And others say Goulburn is the one place where even the toughest inmates stop pretending to be brave. So the question is simple. Why do inmates fear Goulburn Prison? This is not a movie. This is not a rumor-filled horror story. This is a real place with a real history and real men who lived through it. And once you hear what actually happens inside those walls, you'll understand why Goulburn has the reputation it does. The prison everyone warned you about. When a new inmate arrived in New South Wales, Australia, there was one name older prisoners would always mention. Goulburn. They wouldn't shout it. They wouldn't joke about it. They would say it quietly, like saying the name too loud might bring bad luck. Goulburn Prison is one of the oldest maximum security prisons in Australia. It was built in the 1800s, long before modern prison rules existed. Back then, prisons were not about comfort or rehabilitation. They were about punishment. And Goulburn never fully let go of that mindset. From the outside, it looks like a stone fortress. Thick walls, small windows, heavy metal doors. Inmates say the moment you walk in, the air feels different. Colder, heavier, like the building is watching you. Many prisoners who have been locked up before said the same thing. This place doesn't care who you are. Not your crime, not your size, not your reputation. Inside Goulburn, everyone starts at zero. Silence that makes men lose their minds. One of the biggest fears inside Goulburn isn't noise. It's silence. The prison was designed to break people mentally, not just physically. Long hallways, thick stone walls, cells that block out sound. In some units, inmates are locked down for most of the day. No talking, no TV, no distractions, just you and your thoughts. Former inmates said the silence was so strong, they could hear their own heartbeat. Some said they talked to themselves just to remember what their voice sounded like. Others said the silence made time feel wrong. Minutes felt like hours. Hours felt like days. And when your mind has nothing to grab onto, it starts turning on you. That's when fear creeps in. Not fear of other inmates. Not fear of guards. Fear of losing yourself. The strict rules that never bend. Most prisons have rules. Goulburn has control. Officers at Goulburn are known for strict discipline. Not cruelty. Not chaos. Order. Every movement is watched. Every mistake is noticed. Something as small as standing in the wrong place, moving too slow, or speaking at the wrong time can get you written up. And write-ups matter. They affect your privileges, your chances of transfer, your parole hopes. Inmates say this constant pressure makes people nervous all the time. You're always thinking, am I doing something wrong right now? That kind of stress doesn't go away when you lie down at night. It follows you into sleep. Some inmates said they would rather deal with loud, violent prisons than a place where every second feels like a test you're about to fail. Where tough reputations go to die. In prison culture, reputation is everything. Some inmates arrive at Goulburn with big names. Gang ties, street respect, fear behind their eyes. But Goulburn doesn't care about who you are outside. Inside, strength isn't about muscles or threats. It's about control and patience. Inmates who try to act tough quickly learn a hard lesson. There's always someone watching. Always consequences. Many inmates say Goulburn humbles people fast. The loud ones become quiet. The aggressive ones become cautious. Not because they are scared of fights, but because they are scared of staying there longer. Goulburn teaches one message very clearly. Your ego will cost you time. And time is the one thing inmates fear losing the most. The history that never left. Goulburn Prison has seen generations of inmates come and go. Some cells are over 100 years old. Some hallways have held prisoners from wars, riots, and old justice systems that no longer exist. Inmates say you can feel that history. They talk about cold spots in certain areas, about doors that slam without warning, about nights where sleep feels impossible for no clear reason. No one says it's haunted, but no one says it's normal either. When a place holds pain for that long, people believe it stays behind. And when you're locked in a cell at night, alone, with nothing but your thoughts, those stories feel very real. Why transfers to Goulburn feel like a punishment? In many prison systems, inmates get transferred often. But when someone hears they're being sent to Goulburn, the reaction is different. Faces change. Jokes stop. Because Goulburn is known as a place you don't want to mess up in. Inmates say transfers, they usually mean one thing. Someone wants you under control. And once you're in, getting out isn't easy. Good behavior matters more. Mistakes matter more. Everything counts. For some inmates, Goulburn becomes a turning point. For others, it becomes a mental battle they never expected. And this is where the real fear begins. Because the longer you stay, the more the prison starts changing how you think. And once that starts happening, it's hard to stop. When the prison starts changing you, at first, inmates think they can handle it. They tell themselves, I'll keep my head down. I'll do my time. I won't let this place get to me. But Goulburn works slowly. Days begin to feel the same. Wake up, count, eat, lockdown, silence. Over time, inmates say they stop feeling like real people. They stop making plans for the future. They stop caring about small things. Some say they forgot what day it was. Others say they stopped feeling happy or sad, just empty. This is one of the biggest fears of Goulburn. Not pain, not violence, but becoming someone you don't recognize anymore. Former inmates said the prison teaches you to think small. Don't hope too much. Don't expect fairness. Don't trust comfort, because hope makes the days feel longer. And when hope starts fading, fear takes its place. The night hours nobody talks about. During the day, Goulburn feels strict. At night, it feels different. The prison gets quieter than most people can imagine. No traffic sounds. No city noise. Just metal doors, distant footsteps, and the sound of breathing in the dark. Inmates say nighttime is when fear feels strongest. That's when your mind starts replaying mistakes, crimes, family faces, missed chances. Some inmates said they stayed at the ceiling for hours, unable to sleep. Others said they slept too much just to escape being awake. And when someone breaks down at night, no one sees it. Crying quietly into a pillow, shaking in the dark, praying for morning to come faster. In Goulburn, night doesn't feel like rest. It feels like survival. Trust does not live here. In many prisons, inmates form groups to protect themselves. At Goulburn, trust is rare. Because the rules are strict and consequences are heavy, people are careful about what they say and who they say it to. A joke can be misunderstood. A comment can be reported. A rumor can grow fast. Inmates say they learn to speak less. Watch more. Listen carefully. Even friendships feel risky. You never fully know if someone is trying to help you or help themselves. This constant tension makes inmates feel alone, even when surrounded by people. And loneliness inside a prison like Goulburn hits harder than most expect. The guards who never blink. Officers at Goulburn are known for being calm. Very calm. They don't yell much. They don't argue. They don't threaten. They simply enforce rules. Inmates say this is more frightening than angry guards. Because when someone is calm while controlling your every move, it feels final. Unchangeable. If a guard tells you to do something, you do it. No debate. No excuses. And inmates know that complaining usually makes things worse, not better. This creates a feeling that the system always wins. And fighting the system only means more time inside it. The fear of staying, not leaving. Most people think inmates fear prison because they want to get out. At Goulburn, inmates fear something else. They fear getting stuck. Stuck mentally. Stuck emotionally. Stuck becoming institutionalized. Some inmates said after long stays, the outside world started feeling scary. Too loud. Too fast. Too free. That's when they realized how deep Goulburn had gotten into them. And that realization scared them more than the prison ever did. Because walls can be left behind. But changes in your mind. Those follow you forever. The men who warn the newcomers. Every prison has old-timers. Men who have been inside long enough to understand how the place really works. At Goulburn, these men don't brag. They warn. When a new inmate arrives, someone usually pulls them aside and says the same thing. Slow down. Watch everything. Don't try to be smart here. These warnings aren't threats. They're survival tips. The old inmates explain that Goulburn doesn't explode with chaos like other prisons. It grinds you down quietly. They tell stories about men who came in confident and loud, and left broken, silent, or transferred after losing control. New inmates often don't listen at first. They think it's just prison talk. But weeks later, when the pressure starts building, those warnings suddenly make sense. And by then, it's too late to undo mistakes. Discipline block, the place everyone fears. Inside Goulburn, there is one area inmates fear more than any other. Discipline block. This is where inmates go when they break serious rules. Fighting, refusing orders, repeated disobedience. Discipline block means more isolation, less movement, fewer privileges. Inmates describe it as prison inside prison. The cells are smaller. The routines are tighter. Time moves slower. Some inmates said a few days in discipline block felt longer than months in normal units. And once you've been there, you do everything you can to never return. The fear of discipline block controls behavior across the entire prison. You don't need guards yelling. The system already has your mind. How small mistakes turn into big problems. In Goulburn, nothing is small. A bad mood, a sarcastic comment, ignoring an instruction. Any of these can start a chain reaction. Inmates say the prison teaches you to think before every move, before every word. This constant self-control is exhausting. Some inmates compare it to holding your breath all day. Eventually, you crack. And when someone cracks at Goulburn, the consequences come fast. That fear keeps most inmates quiet and careful, but it also builds pressure inside them. Pressure that has nowhere to go. The prison that doesn't care about your story. Many inmates arrive with reasons. Bad childhoods, addiction, poverty, one wrong decision. In some prisons, those stories matter. At Goulburn, they don't. The prison treats everyone the same. No sympathy, no special treatment. Some inmates say this feels fair at first, but over time, it feels cold. Like you don't exist as a person, only as a number. And when you feel invisible long enough, fear grows. Fear that no one would notice if something went wrong. Fear that no one would care. Letters from home that make it worse. Mail day should feel good, but in Goulburn, it often doesn't. Letters from family remind inmates of everything they are missing. Birthdays, holidays, children growing up. Some inmates said reading letters made the walls feel closer, the ceiling lower. Phone calls are limited. Visits are controlled. Every connection to the outside world feels fragile. And when that connection weakens, Goulburn feels stronger. Like it's pulling you away from who you used to be. When inmates stop counting the days. At first, inmates count everything. Days, weeks, months. They mark calendars, scratch walls, count meals. But something strange happens at Goulburn. Some inmates stop counting. Not because time goes fast, but because counting hurts. Every number reminds them how much time is left. So they stop looking ahead. They live moment to moment. And that's when Goulburn truly becomes frightening. Because when an inmate stops thinking about the future, the prison has already won. The day you realize you're not the same person. There's a moment many former inmates talk about. It's quiet. Nothing special happens. No fight. No argument. Just a feeling. They look at themselves one day and realize something is different. They don't react the same way anymore. They don't get angry fast. They don't laugh much either. Goulburn teaches you to stay flat. No highs. No lows. Because emotions can cause mistakes. Inmates say this change scares them. Not while they are inside, but when they notice it. They wonder, will I be like this forever? That question sits heavy in their chest. Why some inmates prefer hard labor to free time. In some prisons, free time is a break. At Goulburn, free time can feel dangerous. When you have nothing to do, your mind goes places you don't want it to go. That's why many inmates volunteer for work. Cleaning, kitchen duty, maintenance. Not because the work is easy, but because work makes the day move faster. Inmates say staying busy keeps them sane. It gives structure, a reason to stand up. Those who don't work often struggle more. They sit in their cells, staring at walls, replaying memories. And memories are heavier than any physical job.
The unwritten rule. Don't draw attention. In Goulburn, there is a rule no one writes down. Don't stand out. Don't complain loudly. Don't argue. Don't act like you know better. Inmates who draw attention to themselves don't last long mentally. Not because they're punished harshly, but because the system notices them more. More searches. More reports. More pressure. So inmates learn to blend in. Move when told. Speak when asked. Disappear into routine. Living like that every day builds fear. Fear of being seen. Fear of being noticed. Fear of becoming a problem. The stories about men who couldn't handle it. Every prison has stories. At Goulburn, the stories aren't about famous criminals. They're about regular men who cracked. Men who stopped eating. Men who refused to leave their cells. Men who talked to walls. These stories spread quietly. Not as jokes. As warnings. Inmates say hearing these stories makes them check themselves constantly. Am I okay? Am I starting to slip? That fear keeps people awake at night. Because no one thinks it will happen to them. Until it does. How time moves differently at Goulburn. Outside prison, time moves forward. Inside Goulburn, time circles. Every day feels similar. Same sounds. Same smells. Same routines. Inmates say weeks can disappear without memory. They can't remember what happened yesterday. Because yesterday looked just like today. This makes time feel endless. And when time feels endless, fear grows. Because humans need progress. Without it, the mind starts shrinking. The fear of making it out, and not fitting in. As release dates get closer, something strange happens. Some inmates feel nervous. Not excited. Nervous. They've learned how to survive Goulburn. Rules are clear. Choices are limited. Outside life doesn't come with instructions. Former inmates say they worried about simple things. Crowds. Noise. Making decisions. That fear starts inside Goulburn. The prison trains you to wait for orders. And the idea of freedom becomes overwhelming. Why Goulburn stays in your head long after. Even after leaving, Goulburn doesn't fully disappear. Former inmates say loud doors make them jump. Silence makes them uneasy. Authority voices raise their heart rate. They don't talk about it much. But they all say the same thing. Other prisons locked my body. Goulburn locked my mind. And that is why inmates fear it. Not because it's the most violent. Not because it's the loudest. But because it changes you quietly. Slowly. And once that change starts, it's hard to tell where the prison ends. And where you begin. So when people ask, why do inmates fear Goulburn Prison? Now you know the real answer. It's not the fights. It's not the gangs. It's not even the walls or the bars. It's what the prison does quietly. Goulburn doesn't scream at you. It doesn't rush you. It doesn't need to. It waits. It takes your sense of time. Your sense of control. Your sense of who you are. Little by little. In Goulburn, strength isn't about being the toughest. It's about surviving the routine. The silence. The pressure. That's why inmates fear it. Because you can walk out of Goulburn one day. But a part of it may walk out with you. And the scariest prisons in the world aren't always the loudest ones. They're the ones that change you. Without you even noticing. If you want to hear what happens after inmates leave Goulburn, or the moments when some finally break inside those walls, just say the word.